Good morning, and thank you for having me today. Today, I'm going to walk through how organizations can move from unclear performance to visible, sustained improvement, and how OptiMax supports you in that journey. Thinking back to when I first learned about continuous improvement, when I realized how obvious the real problem was, nobody knew the score. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's take business out of it for a second and let's look at a game. You walk into a sports arena, and the first thing you look up for is to see the scoreboard. Why? You want to understand if the team that you're rooting for is winning or losing. For everybody in the arena, everybody feels the same way. When their team is winning, they all feel good, they feel excited. Everybody is together, understanding what's going on. And for the team that's losing, even, they're all sad together. And they too have a sense of togetherness about what's going on. When we don't know the score and performance isn't visible, problems are hidden and identified often too late. And there's really no sense of shared priorities that goes along in this group. When there's a gap between the efforts of a team and the goal of an organization, performance suffers. Decision making tends to slow down or become reactive. Managers try to start solving problems by chasing symptoms instead of addressing root causes. A lot of time ends up getting consumed in meetings and firefighting instead of actually trying to improve the process. Over time, this starts to wear people down. They start feeling helpless, like they can't make a difference. They disengage. And this ends up making improvement feel harder than it really needs to be. OptiMax addresses these challenges by creating clarity and focus. We establish a shared view of operational performance so that teams and leaders are looking at the same information. That information can then be used to make better, data-driven decisions. The metrics are aligned to priorities, and they're simplified and visual so that everybody can tell what's happening. This shifts the emphasis away from reporting and into action. We see together, we know together, we act together. At every level, the frontline workers can see how their day's efforts are contributing to the day's production. Managers and supervisors can see which operations are lagging behind and can move resources around between departments. The executive team can see how the business is performing as a whole. When everyone is on the same page, it creates the conditions and foundation that are needed for structured, continuous improvement. So, how do we get started? Improvement begins with a value stream map, which helps establish a clear baseline of how work actually flows through your operation and your organization. From that analysis, we will build a continuous improvement roadmap, or CIR for short, which prioritizes opportunities based on impact and feasibility. The CIR is a living, breathing document, meaning it does not have to be rigid. As processes change and new ideas come up, the roadmap will also evolve. That's why you'll often hear continuous improvement referred to as a journey rather than a one-time project. These operational improvements reduce waste, improve flow, and unlock capacity. What exactly does that mean? Think about it. If we're focusing on the wrong things, that is waste. By removing that, we improve how the work process goes through your building. Unlocking capacity means that the people and resources already exist, but because they're focusing on the wrong things, we are not being as productive as we possibly could be. When we unlock that capacity across multiple departments, the gains translate directly into measurable financial impact. Once the CIR is in place, we'll start to see measurable operational changes. Non-value added work is reduced, and because of that, process lead times are improved. The improvement efforts become more consistent rather than ad hoc. Keep in mind, these are not one-off gains or one-time gains. They reflect changes in how the work is structured and how improvement is managed. We try to get just a little bit better today than we were yesterday. OptiMax combines that engagement from your workforce with this mindset and channels it to create exponential improvement. Now, these figures reflect conservative modeled estimates based on pilot scenarios. When operational improvements are sustained across a department, they translate into measurable financial impact. And the gains come primarily from reduced waste and faster decision making, less manual effort, and not from a headcount reduction. Even after accounting for engagement costs, the net impact is pretty positive. The same operational data is framed differently to support decision making at each level of the organization. At every level, OptiMax answers the same core question. What's the score? Executives use that visibility to set priorities, allocate capital, and understand their return on investment. Managers, in turn, use that same information in a different manner. They use it to adjust focus, staffing, and resources, all in real time, based on what the operation is actually telling them. You can argue that the biggest gains come at the team level, because for teams, performance visibility creates a shared sense of winning or losing. When the team is winning, there's pride in being part of it. When the team slips, effort tends to increase just a little bit because, let's face it, nobody wants to lose. So engagement ends up following naturally just from simple visibility. What makes this approach work in practice is the sequence. Starting with clarity. When performance is visible and shared, conversations start to change. People stop guessing. That clarity starts to build capability over time. Teams learn how to improve, managers learn where to focus, and leaders learn how to support the work instead of react to it. As that capability grows, improvement becomes part of how the organization operates. Over time, that improvement becomes something that people feel responsible for, not something that they're simply instructed to do. And that's what allows these results to last and not fade away. OptiMax helps organizations move from unclear performance to visible, sustained improvement. The value stream map will allow you to see the things that your customers are actually paying you for. It will show you the value that you are providing to them. But keep in mind that the value stream is neutral, and it's not just going to show you the things that you want to see. Part of its core function is to help you identify the waste that's holding you back from reaching your full potential. The continuous improvement roadmap will then help you put on paper strategic initiatives aimed at removing the roadblocks that we identified in the value stream. Once we start removing them one by one, you'll notice that the organization will start building an internal momentum. And that momentum is going to be pretty hard to stop. But let's be realists here. Improvement isn't linear. You're going to experience some setbacks. It's part of the deal. What matters the most is that you'll have the maturity and structure to learn from them, to go back to the drawing board, refine your ideas, and then to move forward with them. Best of all, OptiMax will be there for you, supporting your continuous improvement journey every step of the way. Thank you again for your time today. It was my pleasure speaking with you this morning.